Hello.
This is GameCorp Reviews brought to you by RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. We're going to be doing a review on Biker Mice from Mars from the SNES. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, there's a podcast down below. Each week we give you a new episode so you can check it out. It's free. Just hit the download link down below. But Matt, with that, let's get started. We do this in 5 stepperonis. Graphics, sound, gameplay, fun factor, challenge. We totally stole this. Yes, we both stole the ranking system and the video, thanks to World of Long Play. He never knows that we're doing it. So with that being
Our
said,
evil maniacal plan.
to do things for no money and then make nothing off it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a solid idea. It's like the underwear gnomes. Steel socks, question mark, profit. Or underwear, whatever it was. So let's start with the 1st one.
I was gonna say you were right the first time. I thought underpants knows.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's start with the first one. It's graphics. Matt, we're talking the SNES, what I like to call the choices of classic arcade, or not arcade, but classic retro graphics. Not even Sega, in my opinion, has graphics as good as the SNES. And it's not because of the fidelity of it. It's simply because the people who worked on the SNES knew how to make games that looked good. They're not the most authentic looking. They're not the most realistic looking, but they hold up long term. As far as Mice from Mars goes, the TV show was rather meh. The racing game for a racing game was rather all right. So I got to give this, I would say, probably a 3 out of 5. The sets are pretty designed nicely. That doesn't make any sense. The sets are designed nicely. The character models are a choice, but the animations seem a little incomplete because of the fact that they were trying to not process as much on the screen at one time because of how much graphical input this would actually acquire. Matt, what are you going to give the score?
I think I'm gonna stay. I liked it a little bit more than you did. I think I'm gonna stick it with a solid 4 because I tend to like this really over the top cartoonish presentation it's going for.
Mm-hmm.
I like I like how the stages are designed. I dig that whole like way they're making the racetrack not always typical Mario Kart, that kind of style. There's a certain style to this that I appreciate. So yeah, all around solid animation. Everything holds up really well. So I'm going with a solid 4.
Let's move on to sound. That includes music, sound effects, and anything else that we might be hearing throughout the playing process. I'm going to defer to you on this one. I know where I'm kind of standing, but I want to see if you can convince me otherwise. Matt, what are you going to give this for sound?
I'll be honest with you. I have mixed feelings about it because I feel a feeling like while the soundtrack is good to a degree, there's only a few tracks that repeat themselves, so there's nothing here that's a standout track.
Mm-hmm.
Sound effects themselves they're fine, they're okay, they're nothing great, all pretty much stock. So I think honestly in this category it falls rather to an average mark for me. I'm probably gonna stick right at a 3.
See, I was thinking a 3 as well, and you did not move me off that number at all. I agree with you.
I wasn't trying to.
Considering it's a licensed property, it's still extremely impressive. Like what they put into this, but yeah, it's a 3. It's nothing special with the sound. As far as gameplay goes, the isolinear, is that the right word? The isometric viewpoint where you're looking for it from the bottom right corner on, it kind of throws me for a little bit of a loop to start. The controls aren't all that hard. It's an interesting enough game to play for a couple times through, but I don't know if it's a good enough game to kind of be like, like Gran Turismo where you can go back and play that shit all the time. It kind of has a very limited scope on, what you can do with it. So I'm going to give gameplay a 3. It works, it's functional, but it's not anything that I would say is addictive to the point where you want to come back and do it again.
I think what really helps it is like the fact that there's something to this, like you're progressing towards things, like you can unlock things in here and that improves the traction and your armor and all that kind of stuff. There's some variety to the way you play this game to a degree, but the racing itself, I will agree, is it could be a little tighter, and especially some of the turns can get confusing.
Mm-hmm.
When especially when you're trying to go really fast, catch up to somebody, and the AI is. I got to be real. It can be pretty cheap
Yeah.
at times. Like they do that rubber banding shit. I don't know if you've heard of that effect,
Mm-hmm.
where
Where
you
guys
get
that
you
are
get all the way
really,
to the front.
yeah, where guys are so far out
Mhm.
of the lead, they shoot up, and you're just like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Right. I've had things where I'm at first place at the end, and I get shot and back in sixth by like the finish line. So it can be cheap, and that's where I will duck it down a few because that's unbalanced to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna sit right at a. I remember I'm gonna sit at a 3. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's good enough, but I don't think it's great and balanced to be replayed over and over again.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you'll want to try at least once, but it's not something that you need to keep coming back for. Fun
Mm.
factor is our lone category that I like to describe as mostly our opinion. Everything else we try to stay as factual and statistical as we can in terms of how we play this game, how we played the other games, how does it compare to the general norm of what we consider good. But fun factor can literally be anything. I
Mm.
didn't like the fucking cartoon, so I'm giving it a 2. I'm not a
I've
racing
personally
game guy,
never.
so.
Well, I've never personally watched the cartoon, so to me that I can't knock it down if I'm not familiar with the material. You
Fair
know what I
enough.
mean?
Yeah.
But as far as having fun with it goes, I actually had a good time with this. It took me a little bit to nail the controls, but especially once it opened up with the unlockables and upgrades, I started to have a really good time with this, and I appreciated the strategy and the different approaches to level designs and how you went through those and how you had to deal with certain enemies and their different special abilities and how you can counteract them and stuff. I thought that was actually a lot of fun to figure that kind of stuff out. So, but I won't say it's perfect, honestly. I'll say I had a decent enough time, but it's not, again, it's just not worth the while past a playthrough or two.
Mm-hmm.
So it falls at a 3 again. This is fairly running the average course, honestly.
That takes us to, as soon as I can type this in correctly, challenge. The difficulty of the game compared to the satisfaction of defeating it, beating it, or conquering it. I, for one, don't really care for racing games, so I know people are going to be like, well, then you shouldn't review racing games. But I always say, if I can enjoy something that's not meant for me, that speaks to how good it is. If it's something that doesn't
Right.
work for me and I don't like it, speaks to what it's missing. I don't like racing games. And the challenge for this is a little
Mhm.
bit, wonk doodles. I didn't, even finish the game because like I just got tired of it. I was like, all right, I played this for 20 minutes. I'm good. So I'll give it a 3. It's fine. If
Mhm.
you like kitsch kind of 90s properties, it's definitely worth checking out. But I don't know if
Mhm.
you're not into kitsch 90s properties that were trying to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle clones, then there are better racers available, I would assume. So I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah, there's especially like I believe this game is actually based off of one called Rock and Roll Racing or something. This is kind of a similar kind of level design and idea to that. So if you're looking for a good one to play that one. That
Mm-hmm.
one's got some more worthwhile stuff into it. But this one's fine for what it is. But I wouldn't say it's full blown rewarding in the end because there's nothing you really get from it. And the challenge itself, I actually found it to be fairly unbalanced, like I said. So I didn't find it that worthwhile in the end, honestly. So I'm honestly knocking it down a peg from my usual average. I'm gonna go down to 2 in this one.
All right, so that tallies us up with a 14.5 out of 25 as our final score. And that means that we grade the game at a 58%, and if you're new to the show, that means don't play it. We have percentage points that we like to dole out. Anything from 60 and up is worth a play. 90 to 100% is our Hall of Fame. 80 to 89% is our greatness certified. 70 to 79 is recommended. 60 to 69 is approved. 50 to 59 is playable but divisive. 40 to 49 is a mistake purchased. 30 to 39 is instant regret. And 20 to 29 is literally the lowest score we can give. So kind of gives you an idea. Like I said, if you're into kitsch games and kitsch 90s media, this might be something that would intrigue you. But scores are the scores. We don't recommend. Any final thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, this is more of a curiosity piece thing for people to play. Like this is if you're interested in this growing up, it's a nice thing to play. But other than that, no, not really. This game very much just I thought I could score another hit after our Buster Bust Loose review, and try to hit another like cartoon property from Konami. I thought they could hit one out of the park, but it tended to fall on its face, and I'm kind of disappointed, honestly.
Yeah, you tore your quads going for this one. It's okay, though. If you like what you hear, check us
Yeah.
out at realnerdcorp.com. We're going to the podcast side of things down below. If you're listening to us live on Twitch, you're going to have to wait a while because we haven't recorded it yet. But if you're listening it to us on the YouTubes, it's right there down below. Click it and say hi. Matt, we're out of here. We're going to the podcast side of things. Say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.